everybody to kind of settle in. Hope everybody's starting off their week with a single-minded focus on optimal health and well-being. And that starts with right in here in our mind. So today's conscious forum, just to spend a moment on what I mean by conscious forum, is basically an hour we're going to spend together. And thank you for joining me. And I'm going to give a little talk to kind of set up today. And then once I'm done, you can ask questions about the particular talk I did or other things that are going on. And it's a forum because we want it to be interactive. We want everyone to be, involved in this, engaged in it. It's really important, not just for you, for maybe learning more about yourself or something that's important to you, but also for me to get the feedback because the feedback is really what helps me understand more and more what's on people's minds, what are the things that they have concerns or concepts about, and certainly, what can we do to work on it? And, I like to talk about going to the mental gym, but I can tell you that in our lives, life is intrinsically unstable. There's a lot of things that are going to happen. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. It's how we respond to them that determines the outcome. And with that, the whole idea is to equip you with the tools so you can go to the mental gym and really work on this stuff. Because as I've talked about many times in the past, basically pain is part of life. There's things that happen to us we have to deal with, but suffering is optional. There's no need to continue to build these cognitive emotive loops where we kind of get in our own head. And time I find is when people are getting ready or in bed, they have that moment to themselves. They're not distracted with the very distracted world we live in. And during those time periods, they literally start thinking about things. They think about things that are going on, and then it creates emotions, and then that looping keeps going, and it becomes very difficult to sleep. And so, and it's very fundamental. Just the lack of high quality sleep, not getting into deep sleep that's so important for us, regenerative sleep in itself is one of the causes of emotional mismanagement, and with that, it actually causes us to deteriorate our health. And the cost benefit ratio of worrying about things, being anxious about things, or be regretting things from the past, neither one of those things are really, really helpful for us. And so, what we want to do is work on being in the present mode. So, today we're going to talk about our identity, friend or foe. I wrote a book several years ago with Robert Fritz, one of the leaders in the creative process, called Identity. And in that book, we spent a lot of time talking about, we spend so much time worrying about our self-esteem, what we think about ourselves, these concepts we have, these self-styled obligations, conflict that goes in where we have conflict management, where we have an ideal belief reality syndrome, where we want things to be a certain way. Maybe we were told when we were little that someone said you're stupid, maybe inadvertently, and we took it to heart. And now for the last 30 years, we've been doing everything to prove that we're not stupid. And, including maybe even winning the Nobel Prize. But if you think you're stupid, you still think you're stupid. And if you're doing things to compensate for that, that's not good because then we're wasting our life and not being fully present and organizing our life around what matters most. So we're going to talk about our identity, friend or foe. So our identity can be our greatest ally or our biggest barrier. And so identity isn't fixed. It's a dynamic expression of consciousness. And what I mean by that is depending on whether you're fully aware and in the present moment, or you're playing those feedback loops, it can really change and tell us we should be this way or not be this way. We've got to do this to prove this. And all those things are not helpful. And it really starts with our old friend, our ego, which is our personal mind. And our ego basically acts as a builder and protective of our identity, fueled by stories, conditioning, and emotions. It can be powerful as far as our ambition, but it can also be very limiting in fear. The most powerful force in human behavior is the story we tell ourselves about who we are. Think about that for a moment. I want you to based on that, ruminate on that for a minute, because what we tell ourselves about who we are, what our identity is, kind of defines us, and it defines our behavior. It's so powerful, and most of us don't even realize it. We think I was just talking to my daughter, who's just finished first year of vet school, and she's home, and we were talking about, some things about identity, just even coincidentally, and I'm talking about that today, but about in her life and where she is in vet school. And it's so powerful. And she was talking about, how with her mom and myself as her dad, how her and her sister seem to look at things differently and how much of that is programmed. I said, well, your identity gets formed by the story, but it's fully modifiable. In fact, our identity defines the standards we set for ourselves. And those standards could be that one of the things I do every morning when I get up, and I've been doing this for years, and I live alone, is I basically make my bed. And I listened to an admiral, I think at the Naval Academy several years ago, and many of you may have seen it, talks about one of the most important things we can do, and that is in the morning being disciplined enough to make our bed. And it certainly sets a standard of how we behave, and it kind of sets it. If you're in a room of clutter, I mean, my office is, you can see, it's pretty neat. I have great memories and things. This is all sailing stuff behind me, stuff I love. And the Endeavor is this model, which I got to see, which was in Newport, which is an incredible one of the old J boats. But the bottom line is what we set our standards at are determined by our identity, and our identity is determined by what we think about ourselves. So the constructed self, what we've done since we were little kids, our upbringing, society, our success, and our wounds, reactive pattern, often unconscious. That's what our identity is. It's this story behind the scenes that kind of runs our life and what we do and what we don't do. And it's really important when we talk a little bit later about health. If we look at ourselves and our identities, we are a healthy person, then it's not restrictive. You will not say, oh, I'm not going to have an ice cream cone because I need to be healthier. You wouldn't have an ice cream cone except for on a rare occasion. It's okay to have an ice cream cone occasionally, but you wouldn't have an ice cream cone because you are a healthy person and it's not a sacrifice to do it. You don't have one because that's not what a healthy person does. So, ambition, this is one side of the coin. This is the part as we're growing up where we're in our identity, and ambition is one of the gifts of identity. And so if you're driven and you're disciplined, goal setting, and you want to achieve, and I can tell you early on, my ego was in service of me becoming a really good doctor. I mean, I spent more time in the hospital. I didn't go out with all my fellow interns and go out on the weekends. I studied in medical school. I graduated first in my class. That happened because I really was driven to become the best I could be as a doctor. And that wasn't really, my ego was part of that, but the reality is I just love what I was doing and I wanted to become really good at it. So your identity says this is who I must become. And I at that point, my ego was in service of myself, my interest of becoming good. And it was about me. Now my ego's in service of my soul, and it's really about what I'm doing today. I mean, I'm doing this today. I don't get paid for this. I do it because I love to help people. It brings me great joy, and it's one of the things I value the most. So that's what happens as your ego evolves from being in service of you to being in service of your soul. And we can all work on this. When identity becomes a foe is when it becomes the trap, when we have fear of judgment. What are people going to think about us? Attached to being right. I need to be right here. And paralysis when goals feel too personal. There's in the book, The Identity, we talk about the creator and the creation. When it becomes about you as the creator versus what you're creating, and we'll talk more about this in just a moment, then you're worried about doing it. It's like perfectionism really is a tremendous fault because I need to do it right. I need to do it. I need to do it right. And what it does is it paralyzes because if we do it and it's not right, then we look bad. So it becomes very personal. Making it needs to be about the work. What are the things that you want to do in your life that are important? I always say become the dominant force in your life and organize your life around what matters most. What are the things that are most important to you? And for me, I just spent a week with my girls were here. It was Erica's birthday. She just got out of vet school. Savannah, her sister, came over from England. We surprised her and she had her friends here. And that's one of the things I organize my life around is making sure I'm here in those moments. And I really made sure my schedule was relatively free so I could spend lots of time with them. But true creation flows when we're present, when we're fully aware, when we're not distracted by all the stuff around us, by the internet, by our phones, in service, when we're in service of others. And we have purpose. Our purpose is our things we value the highest. And for many of us, it's our family, maybe our career, might be some thing we love to do. It might be our faith, might be our spirituality. It might be, our health. But get out of the way and let the work through. In other words, stop making it about you and let the work work. So recognizing when your ego's at play, ask the question, am I proving or am I creating? Am I proving myself that, that I'm good, or am I creating something that's important to me? Am I seeking validation or approval or expression? Am I in my behaviors? Am I expressing a part of me, something that I'm passionate about, that I value high? Am I attached to the outcome or committed to action? Because if you're attached to the outcome, then it becomes that feedback loop, and basically then you're hesitant and you get paralyzed, you procrastinate. You can basically create all kinds of dysfunction. But when you're committed to action, and one of the things I do with my leaders is I created a leadership habit, basically lead from the future, act in the now. Figure out what it is you want in your life, and then act in the now. What are the things that move you towards what you want? And goals really are more of a filter. They're not, you don't stay there focused on the goal. You focus on, okay, this is where I want to go. Here's my North Star. And then what am I doing daily? Is it moving me towards my North Star? Is it moving to me towards what's most important to me? So that's really important. And to ask those simple questions can really help you understand this. So from proving to creating, shifting your narrative. I am not my results. I am my intention in action. Identity moves from fixed to fluid. Your identity doesn't stay the same. It's not just about who you are. I'm not just Dr. A. I'm an individual that basically loves to help people. I love to people that raise their hand. If someone's not interested in doing it for themselves, I really don't have a lot of time for that, because I don't want to enable people. I want to empower them. I want to give them what they need so that they can move forward and improve their lives. So the old thing, I talked about this last month, I am not enough as I am. That's the old story. I must succeed to be enough. You don't need, you are enough. We talked about approval, security, basically, and control, right? We have enough of those things already. It's not about that. It's about the new story. I express who I love through what I create, right? I desire to create. That's so important. So what are some of the tools of transcending ego? Well, it's daily centering practice. What are you focused on? And you should ask yourself, even during this Zoom we're doing, what am I focused on today? What are the things, am I moving myself towards the things that are the most important to me? Or am I spending time being distracted by trying to please others, looking for approval, looking to show that I am smart or whatever it is? And observe that inner dialogue. Really listen to that voice in your head, because it lies to us all the time. It makes up stories. It's driven by our ego, and it has a bunch of nonsense going on. And then replace self-concern with service. When you focus on reaching out to the things that are the most important and to the people we care about, everything changes. So let go of the story, return to the moment. Anytime you're starting to build a story, because what if the opposite was true? My dear friend Jim Defner always talks about that in his 15 Commitments of Conscious Leadership. What if the opposite was true of what I'm thinking? Who am I without needing to be someone? Do we really need, it's great that you're a good mom, but you're more than a good mom. You're more than someone's wife. You're more than someone's husband. You are this person that is part of this incredible spiritual journey of humans being together as part of this big connection, and we're all interconnected, which I absolutely love. So you're not who you think you are. You are who you are when you are fully present. So in this moment, I'm fully present for you guys. I'm reading the slides, but I'm fully in the moment, really expressing what I understand about this and how important it can be for you to understand as well. So hopefully you're listening intently and really starting to assimilate this. And how can I use this? And I'm going to spend a little time now and go over some of the exercise we can do. But first of all, consciousness defined. The non-judging observer behind thought, our thoughts are not us, our emotions, which are not us, and sensations, the things that are around us, the five senses, the things I'm looking at this screen. So moving from content to context. So an example would be, I feel angry versus I am angry, right? Feeling angry is simply a feeling you're having. Something in your life has upset you. Your amygdala is activated and you're angry about something. You want some change to occur. And that's a sensation. And so when you think about it, I feel that. Now, why do I feel it? What's going on? First I define that I'm angry, and then I make the decision is okay, what do I need to do here? And it's not I'm angry in a state of angriness where I'm going to leash out at people and then be mad for the next 3 hours because I'm pissed off at this, right? How many people are in the drama triangle? So it's moving from the content itself to the context. In this environment, as I'm feeling this emotion, what is the determined outcome? And that's why, I create stop, challenge, and choose. If you start to feel that icky sauce that you're feeling angry, you don't want to become angry. You want to basically sense that I'm feeling that and open, curious, and want to grow and learn what can I do in this so that I can basically respond in a way that determines the outcome that I want in this situation. And that's really important, especially in relationships. Yeah, we all get upset. My daughter's being here. I keep my house, my kitchen pretty meticulous, and they're not quite so. Well, one of them is and one isn't. And so I could, I get a little angry about it. And I thought, you know what? It's okay. But then I communicate to them, hey, I don't like because, I live in Florida. I don't want to ever leave food overnight in the sink because that's a great opportunity for bugs. So I said, if you fix something, just wash it before you go to bed. And so I express that to what the context is, why I'm feeling that way. And rather than them being angry at them and creating, they're going, what's wrong with dad? They say, okay, this is one of the rules he has here. And we need to be cognizant of it and make a change. It's a very different feeling than yelling at them, right? And that's what I'm talking about. It's conducting. So, we always end this with internal stability and external equilibrium, being able to handle whatever happens and respond in a way that is conversational, not driven by drama and the drama triangle. Living beyond identity. So let go of the story and return to the moment. So rather than tell the story about what could be happening, who am I without needing to be someone, right? And that's in essence is, you don't need to be right. The need to be right is one of the biggest problems in relationships where people want to be right rather than open and curious about what the other person's communicating. So the power of being present, I talk about this. This is the essence of the consciousness. This is the essence of what hopefully we're learning in this conscious forum. Present equals freedom. It dissolves reactivity so that you're not just reacting to things. It brings choices and creativity where you can be open, curious, and want to learn from the situation. And identity becomes intentional. It becomes that, I'm a healthy person. And rather than get upset and eat a bag of potato chips, I'm going to respond to this in a way where I communicate in a relatively civil way and create trust and relational health versus do something that puts me out and turns me sideways. So we talk about this all the time, above and below the line. Below the line is the state that most people, 95% of the world lives in. It's fearful, it's reactive and controlling. All you have to do is look around the world at the conditions in the Middle East, look in the Ukraine-Russia conflict, look in general at political situations. When we're below the line, we're fearful, we're reactive, and we're controlling. Basically, we're not leading from the future we're acting from the present reactivity. Above the line, in any situation, we can be curious, aware, and creative. Identity becomes a conscious stance. Our identity becomes everything we want to become because we're starting to raise our standards. So, if before we slept into 10 o'clock and we want to be healthy, we want to be more creative, we want to be more productive in what we do, and we make the decision to change those standards. And over time, move to 9 and back to 8, and then whatever time works for you. We're raising our standards, which now say that I'm now someone that gets up earlier and takes advantage of sunrise. Since I've been living on the ocean, I love to watch sunrise, and I didn't used to necessarily do that. And so basic identity becomes this conscious stance that we take. In structural tension and Denning, and Robert Fritz and I have been friends for 20 years now, 20 plus years. And basically conscious identity building structural tension. It's about declare a vision, lead from the future. What is important to us? What's our desired outcome? Acknowledge the current reality. Where am I right now? And then create that structural tension that leads you. If you want to go to Cleveland and you're in Tampa, Florida, you need to know where you are and where you want to go in order to get there. And then once you've decided that, then it moves you through the secondary choices that support what's most important. And obviously, this is filled in the Habits of Health, some of my earlier work. So shifting my identity. Before I'm undisciplined, where we're making a judgment about myself. After I create health daily. How do you create health daily? You look and decide, I want to become a healthy person. That's my goal. And in that, there are the things I need to do. I need to eat healthier. I need to stop eating all the secondary choices. I need to stop eating processed food. I need to start moving more. I need to sleep better. I need to go to the mental gym and learn that not to respond and react, but respond in a healthy way. And the formula is repetition and awareness plus emotional alignment, not letting yourself go down in the drama track. That's how you transform. And as an emergent process, the core truth is you're never finished. Identity evolves through conscious practice. And I can tell you that, it's much easier for me than it was when I started 15 plus years ago. But basically, you're never finished. It continues to be things that happen in our lives that create angst. And we need to learn how to manage those properly. And how we can do that, we've talked about this all the time in this forum. Meditation is a great way to stop that thinking as best you can or be aware of it and then bring yourself back to the moment. Journaling is a great way so you can then look back and let's say by the end of the day you're exhausted and you look back and say, oh, these are the 7 times I went below the line, I got into the drama triangle, and I'm exhausted because of it, right? And then you can learn from that. Same thing with your food. If you're doing well and then you have a day that you gain a couple pounds, or a week you gain a couple pounds, and you can look back and say, what did I do differently that took me off my journey? And you become more aware. And then you create feedback loops so that when you recognize that, you do the thing that moves you forward, whether it's in your relational health, your physical health, your emotional health, all of them are important. So I want to include this. I just finished writing a book called My Prescription for Life, which will be coming out really soon. We've had some delays, but we're getting really close. And in it, GLPs are on everybody's mind. So I wanted to use as a great opportunity for those of you who are using them or thinking about using them or know somebody that's using them. Here's a great way to think about identity, right? GLPs interrupt our old habits. So for our standards which may have been unhealthy, eating processed food, sitting on the couch, watching too much TV, binging on Netflix, getting maximum stressed out. All those things basically during this period while you're on these, they basically becomes willpower becomes more under control. So you have a window to consciously rebuild your identity, to raise those standards to the next level and really move forward. And the message behind that is these medications open the door towards change, towards increasing your standards, but you've got to walk through. And that door is only open so long. They last about maybe a year, a little over a year, work that, and then they stop working. Then you have to stay on them. And if you don't, you gain your weight back. So during that period, when it interrupts those old habits, it's time to ingrain the new habits, raise your standards, and become a healthy person and become optimally healthy is the goal, as always, right? So hopefully that makes a lot of sense. So identity and freedom, Viktor Frankl talked about between stimulus and response is this space. And it's in that space when something happens, stuff happens every 5 seconds in our life, right? We get phone calls. One of our kids gets hurt at school. Someone gets sick. We don't get the promotion. And during that period between that event that happens and your response is a space. And that's what I call challenge, where we basically respond in a way where we're aware of our actions and we put those to work to make sure the desired outcome is what moves us forward and doesn't disrupt us. Hopefully that makes a lot of sense. So basically what I'm talking about is reclaiming your ownership, your authorship of your life. You're not a character, you are the author of your life. You're not a person in a play as an undisciplined person, as a person that comes from a family that is mostly obese, or criminals or geniuses or sailors. You are the author. Who are you beyond all those performances that you've done in the past? And you can become whatever you want. Your identity can evolve to whatever you want it to become and do. So practices to evolve, to become more of what you want, to be able to organize your life, to become the dominant force in your life. There's three consciousness tools. First is the centering practice that you put yourself in the middle, you're centered, you're aware, and you're not distracted, and you're not basically in thought, feeling, or some other sensation. You're simply present in the moment, fully aware of what's going on, very cognizant, and the prefrontal cortex, this area of your brain is working. Reflective journaling, basically, this is what we were just talking about, where you're journaling. Journaling is something, I never really used to do, but I do now. And I find it very, very helpful. I can really reflect on during the day what were the outliers, as generally as a whole. And like the last week where the girls were in, they're buying groceries and doing things and bringing in-house things that normally I wouldn't eat. And so one of the things I talk about is healthy surroundings. So I specifically don't have stuff in the house that's unhealthy for me. And I've gotten to the point where I don't even desire it. But if it's here and they fix a meal and I'm eating the meal, then basically I can reflect and say, oh, okay, in this situation, I really shouldn't do that. And now I know, and if I gain a pound or two, I know that's because I'm doing something that I no longer have as part of my standard. And then speaking identity into being, basically, this is all about becoming what you want. Lead from the future you want for yourself and the people around you. So, integration, in summary, conscious identity is chosen. You decide by integrating to the things that matter most to you. Figure out what principles, what are the things you value the most, and then do those things. Second, evolving. It happens over time. It's not something you snap your fingers and become overnight. It will evolve, and you continue to evolve your standards to become more and more. If it's health, then become more of a healthy person by eliminating more and more of the things. Every time you eliminate something that is a bad habit and add something that's a good habit, you amplify the process. And then you feel empowered. You start feeling pleasure is short-lived. The reason why people eat these huge portions of stuff like a big thing of ice cream is the only time they get pleasure is when it's in their mouth and they're getting that sensation. As soon as they've swallowed it, the pleasure's gone. Satisfaction is basically empowering yourself by choosing to be healthy and doing something like going for a jog or going for a walk or basically having a salad. And all of those things, when you do those, they give you satisfaction and it lasts. It becomes, yes, I made these 10 choices today, all of them that lead me on a journey towards better health. So, identity, when driven by purpose, it creates tremendous impact. So, find out what's most important to you and organize your life around that. So, the final thought, when you know who you truly are, no one can tell you who you're supposed to be. And that's why TVs and all these things on TV, you drive the sexy sports car and then you get all the girls, or, you wear this makeup and everybody looks at you, or it goes on and on and on. But when you know who you are, when you know what you want, what's important, it doesn't matter what anyone else says. In fact, if you're in a dysfunctional relationship, you now become you're the author. So, invitation to observe your patterns, figure out what are the things that turn you sideways. Do it with journaling is a great way. Or when you start feeling the icky sauce, ask what was the stimulus that caused this, and then awaken your awareness so you're more aware, and then create a life aligned with your true identity, which is we want to be healthy, well-rounded people that are happy, truly happy in our lives, and enjoying every moment for the short period we are on this earth. So, with that, decide to create. Use identity to build, not block. Create from the inside out. Let purpose lead the way. So, you'll you will find the mind becomes friendly and there's enough for everyone. Basically, abundant mentality. You don't need anything of anybody else's. You can create everything you need for yourself. You already have it inside you. You just need to become more aware and evolve your standards and your identity so it becomes part of you. So, and last, as we close this up, once you let go of making it about you, life starts flowing. So, always end with this. Our goal is to create internal stability so no matter what comes in, we're able to handle it. You've got this. You can do this. And with that, external equilibrium is in our relationships, and everything is about relationships in our life, whether it's our family, our friends, our community, our job, all those things. When you have internal stability, when whatever happens, you can respond in a way that determines the outcome that you want moving forward. then you have balance and you can have harmony and life becomes really joyful. Even during the times when we have emotions that come to us because of things that cause pain, we're able to handle them in a way where we feel really inside of us a sense of command and dominance that we can control our environment from the standpoint of how we respond to it. So with that, Rachel, let's open up to.
All right, first up we have Matthew. Matthew, can you come on camera and unmute yourself? There you are.
Hey, Dr. A.
Hey, Matthew, how are you, buddy?
Good. I had a question. So I think you might have answered it while you were finishing up there. But one thing that I found with Optavia is just how would you encourage the open, curious, kind of aware identity in spheres of either religion or spiritual context? Because I can sometimes feel that those are closed a little bit more to being open, and maybe that's my own internal stability, just being more okay with my own internal mechanism. But I guess I was just curious what you might respond to that, or how you might
Yeah,
respond
I
to
think if I understand your question correctly, and I want to make sure I do. So you're asking is if someone happens to be of a certain faith or religion or dogma, that it seems like it's harder to talk to them?
it. Yes.
Okay, so first of all, our job is not to in any way project any of our own feelings. So that's the first question you have to ask yourself, and that's not we're going to talk about that here, but something you want to do. We have a tendency to project sometimes when we have something inside of us, right, that bothers us. So that's a great opportunity for you to be open, curious, and grow from that yourself. The second thing is our job is to help people create optimal health and well-being whether they're black, purple, green, male, female, from a different world, an alien. That's our job. And our job is to do that in a way where that we're just simply about opening up for them. So I always say take aim to stay. What I mean by that is we want to intrinsically motivate someone to know that if they want to improve their health and their well-being, we can help them. And so I just don't, if someone's close, someone can be close, let's take the average person that's really extremely obese, right? They've most probably had fat prejudice thrown on them since they were young, depending on whatever that happened. And so basically, they're very sensitive to that. And so, you may be, and this is a thing that happens when people first start coaching is they basically, oh, I can really help them. Well, they've got to want to be helped. And if they don't want to be helped, they will actually be turned off if you come up to say, hey, I can help you. They're not asking for help. So our job, no matter what a person's any of their political, I never pay. If you notice or ever look at anything I write, I never write anything that identifies what I believe in. I simply take the principles of the universe. What I mean by that is the principles we talked about what we value most, and that's different for everybody.
Yeah.
And so what I found is when I take that off of me projecting and I simply listen, we're more similar than we're different. And it opens that up for us. Does that make sense?
That does. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. So just do that and just, and there's some, again, we're all our ego, our personal, all the stuff we've been talking about in the last, half an hour has been about our basically identity as it sits because of the stories that we've told ourselves of who we are. And that comes from a lot of stuff that when you were really young, that you had little control of. When you were a little kid, you wanted to belong to your tribe, right? To your family. And whether you were there and it was a great family or it was a very prejudiced family, you get this stuff put into you. And the beauty of it is now that like being under day and asking those questions, you're now on a journey to, just like I was talking to my daughter, your identity evolves. It's a dynamic conscious process. Prejudice comes from wanting to organize our brain because if we can decide this is what's going on there, then we don't have to think. So we have a tendency to self-organize different things into certain stereotypes because it's easier for the brain. Doesn't mean it's right, and it's
Yeah.
usually biased on what we learned as a kid or the people we were surrounded with or where we went to school or who our schoolmates were. And the beauty is this is like this exciting adventure you can have now to be open, curious, and grow. And if you stay above the line, we all go below the line, but if you can recognize when you're going below the line and basically transform and go above the line and be open, curious, and want to grow, you'll see that the world will open up to you. And even in situations where you know you're right, it's not about being right. It's about understanding, being curious. And by the way, acknowledging what someone says is not the same as agreeing with them.
True.
Acknowledgement means you're hearing them, and we all want to be heard. So if you're willing to do that and willing to really listen to somebody, like, my daughter was, they're talking about some crazy thing that's going on for 25-year-olds. And, I might have said, oh, that's nonsense. But I actually listened to them. I was curious, why are you thinking that way? And then I was able to reflect on it and have a conversation where they didn't feel I was judging them. So it's all acknowledgement does not mean agreement. It simply means that in this situation, you're listening to their side. It is so, so important.
That's good.
You're welcome.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yep. Cool. Awesome. I love it, Chris. I love it.
All right. Next up, we have Alicia.
Chris is putting up these little banners, and he said he was going to surprise me with something, and he is. I love it.
Hello.
How are you,
Can you
Alicia?
see me and hear me okay?
Yeah, I can see you fine.
Okay, great. Hi, Dr. Anderson. My name is Alicia Parfit. Thank you so much for being here today and doing this for us. My question was, how do you get over the fear of not being liked? One of my struggles is that I have a hard time motivating myself to connect because what if they don't like me? And the other part of that, I have a two-part question. I'm sorry. The other part of that is that my dad passed 5 years ago, and he left me with financial freedom. And so money is not my motivator. Helping people, changing the world, that's my motivator. But I'm so afraid of failure, not being liked, not being good enough, all the things. And I'm just wondering what your suggestion is on getting over that.
Yeah. Okay. So I didn't show this. I mean, what I talked to it. I'm going to show you. I'm going to do this little diagram here. So it sounds to me that you want to create an environment where you're able to help people change their health and well-being. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So this is what you're doing. Hopefully you can see this. I hope I got this. Can you see? Let me get this straight. Okay. So there's the creator. That's you.
Okay.
And here's what I'm going backwards here. And this is what you want to create right here, right here. Okay.
Okay.
See, if you focus on what you want to do is help people, it's not about you, right? But what you're doing is you're basically focusing on you as the creator being the main thing, and the creation is secondary. So unless what you're doing, your daily action and what you're creating, unless it satisfies you and you feel good about it, then you don't do it. So you're paralyzed. And so the question is, it's not about you. You have the approval, you have the control, and you have the security that you need already. You already have those. You have everything wanting those and wanting approval is because you have an ideal belief reality that you're not good enough. And the reality is you are good enough. You're a beautiful woman. You basically, like you said, you've got the financial wherewithal where you don't have to struggle in that area. And you have a great big desire to help people. So the whole goal is every time you go to talk to somebody, basically, why would you reflect on you worried about what they think about you? You're there to help them. You're there to open up and have conversations and develop rapport and trust. And all those things have nothing to do with you. If you went, just to put some things in perspective for you, on the day you die, if it's raining, 50% of the people aren't coming to your funeral. People don't really care that much about you, okay, other than obviously the people you're in love with and your family. but people, and as a whole, general people, I'm talking about the population as a whole, because the people you know, and you have friendship with, and you trust them, and you talk, and you're not worried about them. You're worried about the rest of the world, and the rest of the world is worried about themselves. If we took this whole group and did it into a Brady Bunch, and we basically took a snapshot of it, and I sent it to everybody on the call, what's the first thing they do? They look for themselves, right? Right? Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
So they're not focused on you, whether you're good enough or they're focused on what's in it for me. And what's in it for you, for them, is for you as a creator to listen to them, ask questions, and have them understand that you care. And if you care, you don't need to be good. You don't need to be polished. You don't need to be perfect. You simply need to care. And if you lead from your heart, all that other stuff will come with time. And you will get better over time. But it doesn't matter. It's that focus on that this is what you want in your life. You want to create in a world where you're a leader in helping people, not making it about you. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense, Dr. Anderson. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And yeah, I have the time, I have the desire, I have the passion, I have the willingness to learn. Like I've got all of the tools, the knowledge, the wisdom to do this, and I want to put my best foot forward and put the fear behind me. And I think that really that helped a lot to say it's not about me.
It isn't
It's
about
not
you. In
about
fact, let's
no.
even something you just said there. Not
Hmm,
your best foot forward. You just need to move forward. It doesn't have to be your
sure.
best foot. You have to move forward. If you're not moving forward, you can't. If you really desire, if you want to organize your life on what matters most, and that the top of that is helping people,
Hmm.
then that's what you need to focus on. And that means moving. I like the word pursuit. Pursuit I like it because it's both tells you you're going somewhere, right? And you're doing it. You're in pursuit of it. You're actually in motion. And I'd rather have you point and have a general idea of where you're going and then basically start going there and you'll get better as you go. Self-efficacy, getting better, feeling better is secondary and that will come with confidence with success. But the bottom line is even making the decision to do it and make your first year, it's, they like to talk about the gain and the gap. Bottom line is focus on what you want. If you want to create a large organization and help a bunch of people and coach a bunch of people, then bottom line, it starts with doing it, going into motion. And it doesn't matter what you think about yourself. It matters what you're doing. Arnold Palmer, who was one of the greatest golfers of all time, said, you can hit the perfect putt, but if you don't hit it far enough, it's not going in the hole. So focus on making sure you're hitting it past the hole. And as you get better, more of them will go in. You're not going to help people unless you go do it. That means hitting the putts. You got to talk to people. You got to look at the smile come on your face when you get that. It's
I
not
know I get
it's not about your self-esteem. There's 100,000 books written on self-esteem. You don't have to think great about yourself. You just have to do the things that are important to you, what you value most, and over time you'll get better at it. It's literally incremental improvement, slow incremental improvement. And it starts with going into motion. Stop rationalizing, oh, I've got this, I got the money. That's all rationalization.
hmm.
If you truly want to help people, go help people.
Okay. I'm
All
gonna
right?
do it. I'm
Okay,
gonna
well,
do
do it.
it.
Do
Okay.
it. And then come
Thank
back
you,
and tell me
Dr.
in a couple of months how many people you helped.
Okay, I will. Thank you so much.
Cool. You're welcome.
All right. Next up, Marianne. Hi.
There we go. Hi, Dr. Anderson.
Hi,
Thank you
Marianne, how are
for
you?
doing this. Good. My question is about journaling. I don't journal yet, although I tried it a couple times, and I don't know what you think the best mode of journaling is. I mean, I know you have our Habits of Health book, and that's in handwriting, but you could put it in a Word document. What is the best mode to do?
Whatever is the easiest that doesn't interfere with your normal behavior. I honestly, well, here. So this is what I journaled on so far today. It's on a piece of paper.
Okay.
I can show you what it is. It's pretty good, but this is some thoughts I had this morning. Okay. And then what I'll do is I'll look at them and towards the end of the day, I'll look at it. And if it's something that basically I think is really significant, Then basically I like to have I have a bound journal because when you use the kind of spiral, those pages rip out and
Yeah.
I want to keep them and be able to reflect on it. I actually found it was interesting because I just moved into my new place and I was unpacking boxes and I found a journal from my wife who passed away 7 years ago. And it was a journal from years ago. And it was just a beautiful experience to read through it, some of the thoughts just in her daily life that were going on, right? And so but you should do it for yourself, not for other people. Don't worry about journaling for other people. Journal for yourself, and then just find, you write it down in a moment. When I snow ski every day when I snow ski, and when I'm with my friend who's an instructor, as I'm making progress and things that click, I write them down in notes, which is just a Microsoft system, right? And I write them in notes, and then when I go skiing. It's really, really, this is kind of, it's totally off health, but when I get ready to go skiing, like for instance, I'm not skiing for 6 months now, but in the late fall or early winter, when I get skiing, I'm on the plane, I'll get out my notes and I'll look back over the last 5 years and like the 3 times I skied during that year, and I'll have notes from there of things progressive I learned. And I'll use that to refresh something that I don't do every day. And I'll learn from that. So now when in fact, he's amazed by, I haven't skied in 6 months and I go out and I'm skiing really well. I'm skiing really well because I go back to my journaling. And the journaling doesn't, if journaling is a hassle for you, then do it a different way. Draw pictures. Use it. You can use some of the new stuff. At least on the iPhone, you can take notes. Or if things happen that you like, just get in the habit of doing an audio, and then have it. It can translate and then go into notes. I mean, do whatever works best for you, but make it so it's not a chore. If it's a labor and a chore and something you don't want to do, and it's hard, then you're not going to do it. But you'll
Yeah.
find, like, do it for a few days and then go back and look at it and see how much it really informed you. You are the best informer of yourself and your insights.
I think when I tried it, I think I thought I should do it like every morning because people say to journal in the morning, and then a
A
it
hassle.
became a hassle. Yeah, but I never thought to just do it as the day went on and put some notes and then kind of
Yeah.
summarize it. That's like a really good idea.
Yeah, I'm full of them.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Thank you.
hopefully that helps you, Chris, today.
All right.
Okay, who's next?
Hi, Doctor.
Oh my gosh,
Okay,
it's Chris
I'm
himself.
asking. I'm asking on behalf of someone else. So last month we had a question come up from Michelle Oliva. She says, "I am going through extreme life changes, sale of a home, moving, empty nest, and divorce after 20 plus years of marriage. While I'm implementing these strategies, I find that anxiety is something I am feeling more than ever during this transitional period. Do you have any suggestions to help me during this high stress period?"
Yeah, that's great. And congratulations on that. That takes a lot of courage to do all those things. And that's what you should be focusing on is basically get yourself in motion, stay busy, work and bury yourself in the things that are important. And at this moment, find out what do you value the most? What's most important to you right now? And then focus on that. So if like one of the things is, you said you're moving. So if you're moving, that's a great time to stay busy, right? If you're moving into a new place, you can spend time. I know that for me, when I'm a little have something going on and I'm kind of worried about it, the other thing I do is I exercise. I find that if I have a little pent up catecholamines and anxiety from something, I'll basically exercise and it takes the edge off. Remember, the limbic area in your brain was designed to prevent you from harm. 10,000 years ago, 100,000 years ago, everything around you could kill you. So you developed an area emotionally where when something happened, your body would respond immediately and release catecholamines, norepinephrine, epinephrine, cortisol. And those things basically would help you manage in flight, either run, freeze, fight, or faint, right? You do one of those things in order to protect you. Well, now we have all this stuff going on. So you have this extra stuff that's building up and you want to release it. So exercise, making sure you get a good night's sleep, especially if you're changing environments, make sure that you have, we move into, just as an example, move into a new house that may not have blackout curtains. It may be light at night, or so you can get yourself a sleep mask. Focus on sleep. So from a standpoint of anxiety, you want to protect the organic things, the physical things, which is your brain, right? And you do that through sleeping better, making sure you're eating healthy and not eating junk food, that you're not caffeinating yourself, and you're getting a good night's sleep. Nothing combats anxiety and stress more than getting into deep sleep and getting 8 hours of healthy sleep. So make sure you're doing that. And in all the transitions, sometimes we don't because we don't have a settled routine. Then beyond that, you stop, challenge, and choose when you start feeling it. Why am I feeling this and what can I do? Is it real or is it something because there's no anxiety usually is anticipation of worry about the future. And the bottom line is you've made some major changes, but with that, you also have a great future and you should be open and curious about what can I learn and grow from here? What are the things that can help me move forward and really organize my life? And one of the things when you go from having a partner to not having a partner, you have more freedom to organize your life around what matters most to you. So turn those things, turn lemons into lemonade and then move forward. And just small little things you do help empower you. They help improve your self-efficacy and will help you get through this period of change.
I think that about sums it up. That's awesome.
Okay, we have 9 minutes left.
We don't have any more questions in the chat.
Really?
We
Okay.
we do have someone that wanted to express gratitude. She says, "I just wanted to thank Dr. A. Uh, my real intent would be just to thank him. Just a
Awesome.
big thank you."
Well, thank you. I love that. I appreciate that. All right. Well, then we'll end early. That's good. Everybody has many things to do. Hopefully, you'll take, as you know, you can go to drwayneanderson.com and we have all of these recorded. Chris does a great job of getting them up there. What's it take about a week, Chris, to get them up there?
Usually, I send it over to Marshall, and Marshall gets it up
Yep.
in 3-4 days.
Okay, so usually within a week, but a good thing to do is repetition helps you create change. So a great thing to do would be to watch the recording of this. Hopefully you took some notes, work on some of these things. And the most important thing is pick something in your life that's really important to you that you have not accomplished yet. It can be something physical, it can be something mental, it can be going on a trip. And the summertime is a great time because everything kind of slows down a little bit. Find something that's important that you value that you would love to have bring into your life and basically decide to go for it. Lead from that future and then act in the now. And every day make maybe one small incremental change that moves you towards that goal. So with that, you guys have a great week.
Wait,
See you guys.
well, Dr. A, just before you leave, I lied. We had one last minute addition. She's lagging a little bit, but here you go.
You're talking about Jan Paxman.
I'm talking about Jan Paxman.
Yeah, Jan.
Oh man, when we got time with Dr. A, there's no way we're letting you get off early.
Okay, what do you got, girl?
All right, so I have a question for you. As from a coaching standpoint, when we are reaching out to help others, and we are focused on the outcome more than on the process, and we put out a kind of a chase energy, like chase, like you just want it so bad, and maybe our motives are pure, like we really want this for someone else to be able to have the health that we have or to feel so much better. But can you just help maybe us to understand a little better how to not get that chase energy and how to just settle into more of a calm situation? Okay.
It's right there. Bottom line is you're making it about yourself. You don't determine, change comes from the inside. Our ability to influence others is minimal. Our ability to awaken others is massive. But to awaken somebody, you need to match your mirror neurons so that they don't sense there's any urgency because you have your story, and your story maybe you're the most empathetic, compassionate, caring person in the world. And your expression of that and forcing that, chasing that is you trying to self-soothe yourself and actually projecting something which is something you're trying to create, which will help you feel better. And that's not what in service of others is not about you feeling better. You may feel better and happy that you help them and the result, but it has to be where are they? You have to meet them. And the true definition of empathy is basically understanding on their path, their role, where they are, and what they're feeling. And if you're creating that dynamic where the energy being released from you or from a coach is basically having them move this way. If they're not if they're not moving this way, then and if they're moving this way, then it's about you. It'll never be about you if they're moving this way, because this will be that what you're saying or doing or listening is creating trust and moving closer to them. And they sense a sense of rapport. The mirror neurons say that there's no danger here. And I'm being drawn into this because I see it's of value for me. But
Mhm.
if there's any of this, you're making it about yourself. It's simple as that.
So taking time at the beginning to build that rapport, asking a lot of questions,
Yeah,
helping.
some people don't need that. Okay, so I don't mean to interrupt you, but we're almost out of time. I want to make sure I get this point to everybody. So it's like playing ping pong, right? You bang the ball, they bang it back. You bang the ball, they bang it back. Basketball or whatever, a ball game. And bottom line, if you bang the ball and they're not banging it back, then your level of interest in it is greater than their level. And there's people like let's say you have a girlfriend you went to high school with or college with, and you know really well. You could actually, and she gained 20 pounds. You have this incredible relationship. You love each other. You can go up to her and say, hey, listen, I can really help you. We need to get that off you. Okay. Because you've already established over time through the relationship that. But when it's someone you don't know, you have no idea what their story is or where they are in life or what triggers them. And if you go in and take your energy, even though you know you can help them, you can't help them unless they draw towards you. This is not like selling a car. You buy a $50,000 car and the salesman forces himself and gives you the deal. You keep the car because you just gave $50,000. Even if there's five of those cars in your neighborhood, you're driving that car.
Mhm.
Health, well-being, emotional thought, health, all that requires this person to do all the work. You're simply here as a guide to awaken and then give them some pathways and tools and strategies and tactics to move them forward to create what they want. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Yeah. And so if you're sensing that chase at all, the chase is because you're projecting something and you're making it about you. Even if it's subtle, it can be, really subtle. And if you've got someone that's, especially people that, by the way, that have not been healthy, people that have had a history generationally of being overweight or obese or not healthy or diabetes, they're already conceptually, they're in a tough spot and they've kind of almost predestined themselves that this is the way they are. They don't know that over time they can change their identity and become a healthy person. And so their defense neurons are up that, I've tried 15 things before and I've failed on each one of them. Bottom line is you're just telling me another one that I'm going to fail on. And so the whole idea, and I was just talking earlier today to one of the executives, bottom line is from the very beginning in 2001, when I left and started this idea of helping people, it was based on principles of health and life and well-being. None of it has been gimmicks. None of it has been about individual products that we're going to suddenly, change your life. It's all been about understanding how to awaken people, empowering them so they can make the changes themselves. Because you can't make lasting change unless it comes from within. Period. You can use all the gobbledygooks things in the world, none of it's going to work unless the change comes with it. It'll work. Some of those things work part-time. And a good, I showed in the one slide, the GLP-1 drugs can open the door, but you got to walk through that door. You're going to find over time that door is going to close, and you're going to find now, because of sarcopenia and the different things that can happen if you haven't changed your habits and you're nutritionally not sound and moving and learning stress reduction, your body composition is going to change and it's going to come back, and we're going to have a whole history of ghosts haunted because they didn't have the door open for them when the door was open. They didn't walk through the door. So bottom line is that's the whole idea of this, is to give us command to become two sentences I've been saying for 20 plus years. Organize your life on what matters most. That way you don't need a lot of motivation. When you value something very highly, you don't need motivation for it. You do it naturally. And the second is learn to become the dominant force in your own life. Full body yeses, do things that move you forward, empower you to be a human that can create internal stability for ourselves and then move forward and help others. And now we're at 1 o'clock. Thank you, Jan. That was a great question.
Powerful. Well, I know
All right.
I'm just one of so many that these principles have impacted. So thank you so much.
You're so welcome, Jan. Thank you so much. All right. Bye.